Welcome, New Jersey Devils hockey fans, and welcome to the Devils Hockey Podcast. I'm your host, Anna Musil, and I've created this podcast for now 2 of my college classes. It was originally just 1 because I was just doing, the audio podcast part, and then I was like, you know what? For my other class, I need to work on video editing. Why not do the video version of the podcast? Because, that's really getting big nowadays. So that's what I decided to do, and I do want to say yes. This thing is a little, like those meat smashers when you're like needing to grind like beef or something, and like the pain while you're cooking it. That is what this is. It's just so I could clip my little microphone on it. So yeah. So what this podcast as a whole is, I'm going to be reviewing New Jersey Devils hockey games, and just kind of doing that. And this episode and the second episode, and then episode in the future are going to be focused on the Devils, mainly because right now the season hasn't started yet. The preseason hasn't started, so I need something. So this episode and the next episode are for sure not going to be focused on it. But there's going to be a future episode that it's also not going to be focused on the Devils because I am going to be having a special guest, and that special guest doesn't know too much on hockey. And we're still going to be talking about hockey. We'll be talking about the NHL, but we're just not going to be necessarily focusing on the Devils on that episode. But this episode is titled the Off-season, NHL Off-season, and I'm basically just going to go over the entire off-season from... Hold on. Bubba, Mama! Where was I? Yeah, okay, so I'm going to be going over everything from the NHL offseason, from the NHL draft to free agent signings and trades, like the most kind of big ones, I guess, and the most recent Super 16, which that was in July. There hasn't been a new one. That was just the most recent after the big trades and signings and stuff. And then the next episode will also not be focused on the Devils. That one is going to be Hockey 101, where I'm going over the rules and basically everything you need to know about hockey, and hopefully dumb it down enough for people who don't know anything about hockey can understand hockey. Let's see. And then the third episode will be on the New Jersey Devils and their off season. So I'm not going to be focused too much on the Devils this episode. I do mention them a couple of times because they're in the Super 16, so I kind of give a little spiel on that, just a little bit, but I don't go too into detail because I will on episode 3. And then episodes after that, the episode after that will be the first preseason game, and then after that, I should be all regular season games, I think. And then there's going to be that one episode that I will have a guest that will not be focused on the Devils, but on the NHL. So I'm going to give a little spiel on myself. Like I said, my name is Anna Musil. I'm a senior at East Central University, and I'm very new to the hockey world. I want that to be known, okay? I became a fan in December of 2023, so, last December, and it was because I kept having TikTok videos on my TikTok popping up, and I just, kept, when, stuff keeps popping up, you get interested, and then you start, digging, you do research, blah, blah, blah. That's what I did. So I started watching the New Jersey Devils and, just kind of fell in love with them. But again, like I said, I'm new, so I'm no expert, okay? I'm going to probably mess up. I will probably say something wrong, might get some stats wrong, all that, and I will 100%, no doubt about it, get names wrong. I will mispronounce names like no other because I'm a little bit dyslexic, and so reading names is hard already as it is, but hockey players have really hard names. So I'm apologizing right now for that, okay? Um, and also, like, any stats and rankings, I'll I'll always probably be getting from the NHL website, and when the Devils come, when their games, I will probably be getting those more from the New Jersey Devils website. Um, so now let's kick this episode off with the 2024 NHL draft. So this year's draft, it took place at the Sphere in Las Vegas. And I'm only going to be talking about the top 5 picks. And again, I'm going to mispronounce a couple of their names. So let's get started with the first overall pick that came from the San Jose Sharks. And that went to Macklin Celebrini, a center coming from Boston University. Macklin was scouted and ranked the number one among North American skaters. Macklin was only in his first year of college, and he accomplished quite a bit. He had 64 points in 38 games, and Macklin finished third in the NCAA and won the Hoppy Baker Award for being the top player. In July, Macklin signed his entry-level contract to the San Jose Sharks. And then the second overall pick from the Chicago Blackhawks went to Atrium Levislov. That's a name, again, mispronouncing. He's a defenseman coming from Michigan State University. He was scouted and ranked second among North American skaters. Atrium was named the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year and Freshman of the Year, and was ranked second among the NCAA freshman defensemen. He also earned spots on both the All-Freshman team and the All-Big Ten first team. All-Big Ten first team. That one's a bit of a mouthful. He was also only in his first year of college hockey, and he had 35 points in 38 games. And in July, he signed a 3-year entry-level contract with the Blackhawks. And now third overall pick from the Anaheim Ducks went to Beckett Seneke. I think I said his name correctly. A right winger from Oshawa and the OHL. The Ducks surprised everyone with this pick because Beckett was scouted and ranked 13th among North American skaters. And there's also a viral video of when he got drafted. It was a real big surprise. It surprised him that he was drafted third overall pick, and he said a very colorful word when they announced his name. And because the camera was on him, and so on live television, he said a fun word. Beckett had 68 points in 63 games, and in those games he scored 7 power play goals and 7 game-winning goals. And in July, he signed his entry-level contract with the Ducks. The fourth overall pick from the Columbus Blue Jackets went to Caden Lindstrom, a center from Medicine Hat in the WHL. Caden was scouted and ranked third among American skaters. Caden injured his back and hand in December and had to miss 36 regular season games, and he made his return to the ice in March, playing 4 games in the WHL playoffs and earning 2 points in those 4 games. Caden is expected to return to Medicine Hat for this upcoming season. And then the fifth overall pick from the Montreal Canadiens went to Ivan Demidov. I think I said his name correctly. A right winger from St. Petersburg Junior in the Russian Junior League. Ivan was scouted and ranked second among international skaters. He led the St. Petersburg's team in the Russian Junior League with 60 points and had 144 shots on goal and 6 game-winning goals in 30 games. Ivan will play for the SKL St. Petersburg's team in the KHL. Um, I think it's, pretty obvious who won with the best draft pick. The San Jose Sharks picked the number one skater from Boston University, and I think Macklin Celebrini will do really great in the NHL this upcoming season. I, th- I think the Sharks are going to do pretty good just in general. Because they made a couple of big moves this offseason with trades and signing free agents. They signed right winger Tyler Toffoli to a 4-year contract, and they also signed. That's my cat. There's a dog toy in front of the door, and she's pawing at it. Hold on. No, Pickles. Yeah, my cat's name is Pickles. Go play somewhere else. Sorry. Um, They also signed their 2023 fourth overall pick, center Will Smith, to a 3-year entry-level contract. Then they acquired goalie Yaroslav Oskarov. Yep, just mispronounced his name too, probably. And center Nolan Burke from a trade with the Nashville Predators. Okay, next I'm going to do the NHL Super 16. The last NHL Super 16 was released July 9th, which was also the first off-season Super 16. The Super 16 is the top 16 teams ranked from the start of the season, and it changes, I believe, every week once the regular season starts, just like, any other sports. Any other sports. So starting at number 16, we have the New York Islanders. Last season, they finished 39, 27, and 16, which is they won 39 games. They won 39 games, lost 27 games, and then they lost 16 overtime games. And I'll go more into detail with that kind of stuff next episode. And they finished third in the Metropolitan Division and lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Carolina Hurricanes. And the Islanders, they didn't lose anyone during this offseason, and I don't think they really gained anyone either. At number 15, we have the Los Angeles Kings. Last season, they finished 44, 27, and 11 and third in the Pacific Division and lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Edmonton Oilers. Number 14, we have the Vegas Golden Knights. Last season, they finished 45, 29, and 8 and fourth in the Pacific Division and lost in the first round of playoffs to the Dallas Stars. The Golden Knights lost 6 big players while only getting back 2 other players. And some of those kind of surprised people because of how many they lost and who they lost. Now, number 13, we have the Winnipeg Jets. Last season, they finished 52, 24, and 6 and second in the Central Division. And they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Colorado Avalanche. The Jets haven't done too much to improve the team. They lost quite a few great players, but unlike the Golden Knights, they got some good players back. Number 12, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning. Last season, they finished 45, 29, and 8 and fourth in the Atlantic Division, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Florida Panthers. The Lightning only lost 2 key players, but they added a few great players to an already strong core. At number 11, we have the New Jersey Devils. Last season, they finished 38, 39, and 5 and 7th in the Metropolitan Division, and they missed the playoffs last season. And with them missing the playoffs, they are the only team, I think, in the Super 16 right now that did not make the playoffs. And it was because of the offseason they had, who they were able to sign, who they were able to trade. And yeah, they also they hired a new head coach. And again, I'll go more over the head coach, situation from last season in a couple of episodes, but they hired a new head coach, and it was the previous head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Sheldon Keefe. And I think he's going to do a really great job. When they announced that he was in the running for it, I was really hoping he would get it, and I'm so happy that he did. Um, they were able to sign a really great goalie, and they strengthened their defense and added a few new forwards, and they lost a couple of really good players, but we got a lot of great players from him, so it's okay. We can live without them, I guess. Number 10, we have the Carolina Hurricanes. Last season, they finished 52, 23, and 7 and second in the Metropolitan Division, and they lost in the second round of the playoffs to the New York Rangers. Um, I was a little surprised they were ranked number 10 because they lost a lot of players. They were a team that almost all their free agents left. The Devils actually got, I think, two of them, and so we're really excited to see what they bring to the Devils. But um, the Carolina Hurricanes, they had a really strong team. I really wanted the Stanley Cup Finals to be against the Carolina Hurricanes and the Vancouver Canucks, and they lost, unfortunately. They actually just recently re-signed Seth Jarvis, who I'm excited about. I love Seth Jarvis. He cracks me up. Um, and they already have quite a few good players too that they didn't lose. And I'm not gonna like you got Sebastian Aho. He's really good. And then two others that I'm going to butcher, so I'm gonna say their nicknames is KK and Svechie, and then Seth Burns, I think, is another one that he's really good that they were able to keep. So I think they'll do decent this coming season, but I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year. Um, yeah. Moving on, at number 9, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs. Last season, they finished 46, 28, and 10, and third in the Atlantic Division, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Boston Bruins. Right after they lost to the Boston Bruins, I want to say not even like a couple days later is when they announced that they let their head coach Sheldon Keefe go, and there was some like controversy, I want to say, with that, but you know what, it's okay. They had a pretty good off season. They didn't lose very many people, and they added a few good players to their roster, and they assigned a new captain, Austin Matthews, and they hired a new coach at the beginning of the off season. Um, Craig Baroud, I think is how you say his name. Yeah. At number 8, we have the Vancouver Canucks. Last season, they finished 50, 23, and 9, and first in the Pacific Division, and they lost in the second round of the playoffs to the Edmonton Oilers. The Canucks weren't expected to be very good last season, and but they shocked everyone when they came out and started winning games and doing really good, and they became a lot of people's like contender for the Stanley Cup. And I was one of those people, especially once I knew the Devils weren't gonna make it, I was going for them. And it was last season was Quinn Hughes's first year as captain, and he did a pretty good job. Um, like I said, with the Carolina Hurricanes, I wanted it to be the Carolina Hurricanes and the Vancouver Canucks to be the Stanley Cup, you know, final games. I wanted the Vancouver Canucks to win it all, but I would have been okay with the Carolina Hurricanes winning it. But I wanted the Vancouver Canucks, but they had to lose to the Edmonton Oilers. Um, they the Canucks had a good offseason. They didn't lose very many people, and I think they did sign a couple of good people. But the reason they're this high on the Super 16 is because of their very strong goalie and Thatcher Demko. And Um, their Norris Trophy winner, Captain Quinn Hughes, like I said, he won the Norris Trophy, and he is, I think, number two of top 10 defensemen. He's ranked number two, and I'll get into that in a minute. At number 7, we have the Nashville Predators. Last season, they finished 47, 30, and 5 and fourth in the Central Division, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Vancouver Canucks. The Predators probably had the best offseason with their signings because they didn't lose very many people, and they gained a lot of great players. And just to name a couple of them was Steven Stamkos from the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then Jonathan Marchessault, I think is how you say his last name, from the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And like I said, they already had a really good roster, and the names that they did add at the players just makes them an even stronger contender for the Stanley Cup this coming year. At number 6, we have the Colorado Avalanche. Last season, they finished 50, 25, and 7, and third in the Central Division. And they lost in the second round of the playoffs to the Dallas Stars. The Avalanche did not make very many roster changes this offseason, which isn't a huge deal for them because they already had a very strong roster, so they really didn't need to make changes. So I feel like they'll do good next season. At number 5, we have the Dallas Stars. Last season, they finished 52, 21, and 9 and first in the Central Division and lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Edmonton Oilers. The Stars were a contender for the Stanley Cup last season and still will be for this season. After the Canucks lost in the playoffs, the Canucks and the Hurricanes, I was going for the Dallas Stars. And they lost to the Oilers, like I said, in the Western Conference Finals. They signed a few good players, but they did lose a couple of key players. But it's believed that they have some great enough players to make up for the ones that they did lose. They did sign one of the New Jersey Devils players, defenseman Brandon Smith. I loved Smithy. I'm going to miss him, but I'm going to be cheering him on at Dallas. At number 4, we have the Boston Bruins. Last season, they finished 47, 20, and 15 and second in the Atlantic Division, and they lost in the second round of the playoffs to the Florida Panthers. The Bruins had one of the best goaltending duos with Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark, but they decided to kind of shock everyone towards the end of the offseason. Well, I guess it was more in the middle because it was just a few weeks ago. By trading one of those goaltenders, they traded Linus Ullmark to the Ottawa Senators. They, like I said, they had one of the best goaltending duos. It was a team very threatening to play against because if one of them wasn't playing very good and they swapped the other for the other, there's a good high chance that that goalie was gonna make up for it and be really great. But losing Allmark will make their goaltending not as threatening as it was the past season, but they will still do pretty good because they still got Jeremy Swayman, who is trying to remember where he's ranked in the goalies. I want to say maybe 3 or 4. But yeah, Jeremy Swayman, they still have him, so yeah. And they did sign a couple of great defensemen as well. At number 3, we have At number 3, we have the New York Rangers. Last season, they finished 55, 23, and 4 and first in the Metropolitan Division, and they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Florida Panthers. The Rangers did not make very many moves this offseason because, like the Avalanche, they didn't need to. They already have a very strong roster, and so they didn't need to make those changes that other teams did. But with the downside of the New York Rangers and the Avalanche both not making very many roster changes, and then I think the Oilers were another one that they didn't make very many. The thing is other teams made very big moves that could possibly result in the Rangers, Avalanche, and the Oilers not doing very well. I think the Panthers also didn't make very many. So, yeah. There's downsides and good upsides to, not trading players and getting rid of any or adding any. I don't think they lost anyone either, to be quite honest. So, yeah. They do have the number one goalie in the league with Igor Shesterkin. Yeah, it's probably a name I mispronounced. And like I said, they already have a pretty solid roster. And as a Devils fan, the Devils' biggest rival is the New York Rangers. And I don't like saying it, but they do have a really solid roster. So yeah. Number 2, we have the Edmonton Oilers. Last season, they finished 49, 27, and 6 and second in the Pacific Division and lost in the Stanley Cup Finals to the Florida Panthers. And like I just said, the Oilers didn't really lose anyone, so they still had the solid roster that led them to the Stanley Cup Finals. They might be going on their, revenge tour, I think is what it's called. They might decide to go for it. Well, they might decide, not decide. They won it, I would hope, and go on a little revenge tour and win the Stanley Cup this coming season. So you never know. At number 1, we have the Florida Panthers. Last season, they finished 49, 27, and 6 and second in the Pacific Division, and they won the Stanley Cup against the Edmonton Oilers. The Panthers only lost one key player, but they were able to keep everyone else, so they have a chance at a repeat. And I'm pretty sure the year before, the Panthers lost the Stanley Cup to the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and so they went on a revenge tour and they won it all, and so they accomplished it, and they have a chance at repeating the win again this coming season. All right, now that we've talked about the top 16 teams, I'll go into the top players, starting with the top 20 centers. At number 20, we have the New Jersey Devils captain, number 13, Nico Hischier. Nico is the highest drafted player from that was born in Switzerland, and he was the New Jersey Devils' first overall pick in the 2017 NHL draft. Last season, Nico had 67 points in only 71 regular season games, and in his entire career, he has played 452 regular season games and has 353 points. At number 19, we have from the New York Rangers, number 93, Mika Zibanejad. I don't know how to say his last name. Last season, he had 72 points in 81 regular season games, and in the playoffs, he had 16 points in the 16 playoff games that the Rangers played in. At number 18, we have number 18, Robert Thomas from the St. Louis Blues. Last season, he hit career highs with 86 points, 26 goals, and 60 assists in 82 regular season games. At number 17, we have number 18, Tim Stützle from the Ottawa Senators. And 75 regular season games, he had 70 points and had a career high in assists with 52. At number 16, we have the Montreal Canadiens captain, number 14, Nick Suzuki. Last season, he hit career highs with 33 goals, 44 assists, and in total 77 points in only 82 games. At number 15, we have the Detroit Red Wings captain, number 71, Dylan Larkin. Last season, he hit a career high with 33 goals in 68 games. Not 82, 68 games. It was the fourth time in his career where he has scored 30 or more goals in a season. At number 14, we have number 24, Roop Hintz from the Dallas Stars. Last season, he had 65 points in 80 regular season games, and in 15 playoff games, he had 8 points. At number 13, we have number 98, Connor Bedard from the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks drafted Connor first overall in the 2023 NHL Draft. Connor had an amazing rookie season with 61 points, 22 goals, and 39 assists. Connor had to miss 14 games with a broken jaw, which he got playing the Devils earlier this year. It was in like January or February that it happened. He had to miss 14 games, and he led the rookies last season in points, goals, and assists, and he won the Calder Trophy. I'm excited to see what he does this season. I keep up and I watch the Chicago Blackhawks as well, so I can't wait to see what he does this season and see how the Blackhawks do, because they got some pretty good players, I think, in the off-season as well. At number 12, we have number 20, Sebastian Aho from the Carolina Hurricanes. He hit a career high with 89 points in 78 games last season. He led the Hurricanes in goals, assists, and points for the third time. And in 11 playoff games, he scored 12 points. At number 11, we have number 9, JT Miller from the Vancouver Canucks. Last season, he had his first 100-point season with 103 points, having scored 37 goals and 66 assists. And in 13 playoff games, Miller had 12 points. At number 10, we have number 40, Elias Pettersson from the Vancouver Canucks. Last season, he had 89 points and won 50.8% of his faceoffs. The last 3 seasons, he has scored at least 32 goals in each season. At number 9, we have number 86, Jack Hughes from the New Jersey Devils. Jack was drafted first overall in the 2019 NHL Draft to the New Jersey Devils. Last season, Jack missed 20 games due to a shoulder injury, but he was still able to rack up 74 points. And he had a shoulder surgery in April, and he's expected to be healthy for training camp in a couple of weeks. And it was just announced too a couple of days ago that his brother Luke Hughes, who plays for the New Jersey Devils, also hurt his shoulder just a few weeks ago at the beginning of the month, and so he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, which is going to be great. I'll talk more on the New Jersey Devils in a couple of episodes and about Luke being gone for a couple of weeks. At number 8, we have number 9, Jack Eichel from the Vegas Golden Knights. Last season, Jack had 68 points in only 63 regular season games and 7 points in 7 playoff games. Jack Eichel and the Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup in 2023. At number 7, we have number 21, Braden Point from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Braden had a pretty great season with 90 points in only 81 games. He has scored more than 20 goals in the past 7 seasons and has scored 40 or more 3 times. Braden has won the Stanley Cup twice while playing for the Lightning in 2020 and 2021. At number 6, we have the GOAT, number 87, Sidney Crosby, captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The GOAT, Sidney Crosby, played his 19th season last year in the NHL, and so he's going into his 20th season this coming season. He led the Penguins with a whopping 94 points in only 82 games. In the last 18 games of the season, Crosby was being the GOAT that he is, and he had 30 points. Yes, 30 points in 18 games. That's incredible. Again, he's a GOAT, so I shouldn't say I'm surprised, because I'm not, because he's the GOAT. Like I said, he's one of the greatest players to come from the sport. And even before I was a fan of hockey, there was one name that I knew, and that was Sidney Crosby. He's that good. He had won the Stanley Cup 3 times and plenty of awards as well with the Penguins. I think this season is his last season on contract with the Penguins, and I've talked to someone who she's a big fan of hockey. Has been a bigger fan of hockey than me for longer because she's older than me, and she loves Sidney Crosby. He's one of her favorite players. She says she wouldn't be surprised if he goes to a different team next season, and she said she thinks it would either be the Colorado Avalanche or I think the Vancouver Canucks. She said because he's really good friends with Nathan MacKinnon, who's on the Avalanche. But moving on to number 5, we have the captain of the Florida Panthers, number 16, Alexander Barkov. Alexander became the first NHL captain born in Finland to win the Stanley Cup. Alexander played a big role in the 2-1 victory over the Oilers in Game 7 of the 2024 Stanley Cup final game, and helped the Panthers get their first Stanley Cup franchise in franchise history. He had 80 points in 73 regular season games, 22 points in 24 playoff games, and 5 points in the Stanley Cup Finals. At number 4, we have number 29, Leon Daristol from the Edmonton Oilers. I did just mispronounce his name. At number 4, we have number 29, Leon Daristol from the Edmonton Oilers. I just mispronounced his last name. He was ranked 7th in the NHL last season with 106 points during the regular season and 31 points in 25 playoff games. At number 3, we have number 34, Austin Matthews from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And like I said towards the beginning of the episode, that the Leafs just changed captains and named Austin Matthews as the new captain. Austin Matthews scored 69 goals last season and was the first player since the 1995-96 season when Lemieux, I don't know how to say his name, had scored 69 points in 70 games. At number 2, we have Nathan MacKinnon from the Colorado Avalanche. Last season, Nathan was second in the league with 140 points in 82 regular season games. He won the Hart Trophy, and he also won the Ted Lindsay Award, and that is an award given to the most outstanding player and is voted on by the NHL Player Association. Finally, for number 1, we have captain of the Edmonton Oilers, number 97, Connor McDavid. The Edmonton captain was one of the finalists for the Hart Trophy. Connor finished 3rd in the NHL with 132 points in 76 games and finished the Stanley Cup playoffs with 42 points in only 25 games. Connor McDavid is the sixth player on the losing team of the final game to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, which is basically the MVP of the playoffs. Next, I will go over the top 10 wings in the league. At number 10, we have right winger number 16, Mitch Marner from the Toronto Maple Leafs. The right winger was 3rd on the Leafs with 85 points, and he led the team in assists last season. At number 9, we have right winger number 13, Sam Reinhart from the Florida Panthers. Last season, the Panthers right winger had a fantastic year with multiple career highs in goals, points, power play goals, and power play points, just to name a few. Sam was second in the league in goals behind Maple Leafs center Austin Matthews, who had 69, while Sam had 57. At number 8, we have right winger number 88, William Nylander from the Toronto Maple Leafs. William set his career high in points with 98 points, and for the second straight season scored 40 goals. At number 7, we have left winger number 97, Kirill Kapsarov. Again, probably just mispronounced both of his names, from the Minnesota Wild. Kirill led Minnesota in points with 96 in 75 games. For 3 straight seasons, he has scored at least 40 goals. At number 6, we have right winger number 27, Jason Robertson from the Dallas Stars. In 82 games, Jason led Dallas with 80 points and 51 assists. Number 5, we have left winger number 10, Artemi. I think it's Artemi. Artemi Panarin. Mispronounced first and last name. From the New York Rangers. Last season, Artemi was ranked 4th in the NHL with his 120 points. He is also tied for 3rd in the NHL for his 44 power play points. At number 4, we have right winger number 88, David Pastrnak from the Boston Bruins. Last season, David was ranked 5th in the NHL with 110 points and ranked 7th with 47 goals in 82 games. In the past 8 seasons, he has scored at least 34 points in the 7 of those 8 seasons. At number 3, we have right winger number 96, Mikko Rantanen from the Colorado Avalanche. In 80 games last season, Mikko had 104 points and 42 goals. This is his 3rd straight season with at least 92 points and his 4th season with at least 30 goals. At number 2, we have left winger number 19, Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk from the Florida Panthers. In 80 regular season games, Matthew had 88 points and 32 power play points. Matthew tied team captain Alexander Barkov with 22 points in 24 playoff games that helped the Florida Panthers to their first Stanley Cup. At number 1, we have right winger number 86, Nikita. I don't want to say it's Nikita, but I think it's Nikita Kucherov from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Nikita led the NHL with his 144 points in 81 games. Nikita was awarded the Art Ross Trophy, which is an award given to the player with the most points scored in the season. Alright, now I'm going to be talking about the top 10 defensemen in the NHL. At number 10, we have number 7, Devin Toews. I don't want to say that's how you say his last name, but I can't think of any other way to pronounce it. It's Toews. So that's I think it's just Toes, but I'm probably wrong. Last season, Devin had 50 points in 82 games for the 2nd straight season. At number 9, we have number 2, Evan Bouchard from the Edmonton Oilers. Last season, Evan had 82 points, and he set career highs in every offensive category. At number 8, we have number 23, Adam Fox from the New York Rangers. Last season, Adam finished 6th among defensemen with 73 points in 72 games. He also tied 4th with 33 power play points. Adam was ranked 3rd among the Rangers with 123 blocked shots. At number 7, we have Charlie McAvoy from the Boston Bruins. Last season, Charlie had 47 points in 74 games. He set a couple of career highs in both block shots and hits. He had 159. At number 6, we have number 42, Gustav Forsling from the Florida Panthers. Last season, he had 39 points in 79 games. He had 13 points during the playoffs. At number 5, we have number 4, Miro Haskin from the Dallas Stars. Miro had 54 points in 71 games, and in 19 playoff games, he had 16 points. He was tied for third with his 21 power play points. At number 4, we have number 59, Roman Josi from the Nashville Predators. Last season, Roman led Nashville in blocked shots with 151, assists with 62, and power play points with 33. He was ranked third among defensemen with 85 points, and he led all defensemen with his 23 goals. He won the Norris Trophy in the 2019-2020 season and has been a finalist for it for 3 of the past 5 seasons. At number 3, we have number 77, Victor Hedman from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Victor had 76 points in 78 games. He won the Norris Trophy in the 2017-2018 season and was a finalist for it for 6 straight seasons from 2016 to 2022. He helped the Lightning win the Stanley Cup for 2 straight seasons and was awarded the Conn Smythe Trophy as the playoff MVP in 2020. At number 2, we have captain of the Vancouver Canucks, number 43, Quinn Hughes. Last season was Quinn's first season as captain of the Canucks. Quinn led all of the defensemen in points with 92. Quinn was last season's Norris Trophy winner, beating out the other 2 finalists, Roman Josi from the Nashville Predators and Cal Marker from the Avalanche. And finally, the number 1 defenseman goes to number 8, Cal Marker from the Colorado Avalanche. Cal finished second among all the NHL defensemen in points with 90, goals with 21, and assists with 69. He has been the Norris Trophy finalist for the past 4 seasons and actually won the award in the 2021-2022 season, which is the same season that he helped the Avalanche win the Stanley Cup, where he also won the Conn Smythe. Next, I will talk about the top 10 goalies. Starting off with number 10, we have number 35, Linus Ullmark from the Ottawa Senators. And like I said earlier, during the off-season, Linus was traded to the Ottawa Senators from the Boston Bruins, where Linus and the other Boston goalie, Jeremy Swayman, had one of the best goalie combos in the league. I was actually a really big fan of like their little bromance that they had. It was super cute. I loved their big like bear hug that they gave after one of them won a game. But they split games. Neither one of them was just like the straight starter. They split games between each other. Last season, Linus was 22, 10, and 7, which, like I said, it's kind of the same with like the teams. He won 22 games, lost 10 games, and lost 7 overtime games. He had a 2.57 goal against average and had 2 shutouts with a .915 save percentage in 40 regular season games, and he started 39 of those 40 games last season. At number 9, we have number 74, Jos Saros from the Nashville Predators. Saros was 35, 24, and 5 with a 2.86 goal against average, and he had a .906 save percentage, and he also had 3 shutouts in 64 games last season. At number 8, we have number 29, Jake Oettinger from the Dallas Stars. Last season, Jake went 35, 14, and 4 with a 2.72 goal against average, and he had 3 shutouts with a .905 save percentage in 54 games, and he started 53 of those 54 games. At number 7, we have number 72, Sergei Bobrovsky from the Florida Panthers. Bobrovsky had a season to remember last year. He was a finalist for the Vezina, which is an award that goes to the top goalie, I believe. He went 36, 17, and 4 with a 2.37 goal against average, and he had 6 shutouts with a 915 save percentage in 58 games. He helped the Florida Panthers to the first franchise Stanley Cup, winning all 16 games he played with a 2.32 goal against average and a 906 save percentage with 2 shutouts in the playoffs. At number 6, we have number 35, Thatcher Demko from the Vancouver Canucks. Demko went 35-14-2 with a 918 save percentage and a 2.45 goal against average and had 5 shutouts in 51 games. He tied Saros and Ottinger for sixth in wins and finished 5th in goal against average. He led the NHL in wins up until he got a knee injury in March that kept him out for 14 games, and he was the runner-up for the Vezina. He missed the entire playoff series, I believe, because of the knee injury, and the Vancouver Canucks, they had, and I think their second goalie also got injured during the playoffs, and so they had to bring in like the third string goalie who proved himself. He did an incredible job, and the Canucks, I think, were able to re-sign him too, so that was nice. At number 5, we have number 30, Aya Sorkin. I don't know how to say his first name, but his last name, I believe, is Sorkin, from the New York Islanders. Last season, Sorkin went 25-19-12 and had a 909 save percentage and a 3.01 goal against average and had 2 shutouts in 56 games. At number 4, we have number 1, Jeremy Swayman from the Boston Bruins. Even though Swayman, like I said, was not a full-time starter like with Linus Ullmark, he split the games with him, and Swayman was one of the top goalies last season. He went 25-10-8 with a 916 save percentage and a 2.53 goal against average and had 3 shutouts in 44 games. At number 3, we have Andrei Vlasic from the Tampa Bay Lightning. For the past 5 seasons, Andrei was ranked the number 1 goalie. He went 30-20-2 and had a 2.90 goal against average and a 900 save percentage and had 2 shutouts in 52 games. For the 7th straight season, he had won at least 30 games each season. He had to miss the first 20 games of last season because he had a back surgery in the off-season. At number 2, we have number 37, Connor Hellenbeck. Connor Hellenbeck, I think is how you say his last name, from the Winnipeg Jets. Connor went 37-19-4 with a 2.39 goal against average and a 921 save percentage and had 5 shutouts in 60 games last season. He was the last season's Vezina Trophy winner. At number 1, we have number 31, Igor Shesterkin from the New York Rangers. Igor went 36-17-2 with a 2.53 goal against average and a 913 save percentage and had 4 shutouts in 55 games last season. He was one of the best players in the playoffs with a 2.34 goal against average and a 927 save percentage in the 16 games he played in the playoffs. We finally reached the end of the first episode, and how I'm going to end every episode is NHL news, like recent news. And since this episode was all on the NHL and its off-season, I pretty much covered everything, but there is some recent news. I put quotation marks around it because it's not as recent. There's more news, but I'm going to save that for the next episode, for the next coming episode. But it was announced that the Hughes brothers, Quinn, Jack, and Luke, are going to be on the cover of the eSports NHL 25, and which is an incredible opportunity because it's the first and possibly the last time a group of siblings will be on the cover of an eSports game. And so seeing it be them is pretty awesome. And obviously I'm a fan of all 3 brothers, Jack and Luke, are on the Devils, and it was actually videos of the Hughes brothers that kept popping up on my TikTok that got me to watch the New Jersey Devils, and I'm a fan of the Canucks as well because of Quinn. But seeing the players that got me into the sport be on the cover of a rare and once in a lifetime kind of thing is pretty cool to see. Moving on to some other recent news, it was rumored most of the off-season that the 2022 14th overall pick, Rucker McGorty, who was drafted by the Winnipeg Jets, had wanted to be not drafted, traded from the Winnipeg Jets. He played for Michigan University for the past 2 years, and he had announced that he was going to be going back, and because going back to Michigan to play, because he refused to go play for the Winnipeg Jets because I think they wanted to sign him to an entry-level contract, and he didn't want to play with them, and so he went back, and so he kind of requested to be traded, and they ended up trading him to the Pittsburgh Penguins, where he'll be joining, like I said earlier, the GOAT, Sidney Crosby. I think the Penguins added a great player in Rucker McGorty. I'm not a fan of Michigan University. I grew up watching like football and like softball and baseball and basketball, but mainly football, and grew up not liking Michigan University. But I will say I do like their hockey. Their hockey is one that I do kind of keep up with. Um, so I kind of know a little bit about Rucker McGorty, and I think he's going to do really good at the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think he's gonna learn a lot from Sidney Crosby, and yeah, I think they're just gonna do really good. He did end up signing a entry level contract with them, and that hurt a lot of Michigan fans because they were excited for him to, like, it came weeks before school started, like a couple of weeks, and that he was traded and signed an entry level contract, and so he's gonna be missed by a lot of Michigan fans. And then the last piece of news that I'm going to talk about is this one's kind of really old news because at the end of last season, once the regular season was over, it was announced that the Arizona Coyotes will be relocated to Utah. Um, and obviously, they're not going to be called the Arizona Coyotes anymore because they're going to Utah, like I just said. Um, and they were given a new name, and they had votes on the new name over the off season. And apparently the votes didn't do a good enough job because they decided to do a temporary name of the ugliest name I've ever heard, and it's the Utah Hockey Club. I know it's temporary. I know it's not final and forever, but I'm like, seriously? You have so many choices. Like, some of the choices to vote on were the Utah Outlaws, the Utah Mammoth, the Utah Yeti, and the Utah Venom, and even the Utah Blizzard is a better name. Like, again, I know it's temporary. I know it's not final and whatever, but it don't make sense. It's stupid. Are they not going to have a mascot for the first year? What sports team is without a mascot? And I know they could probably come up with something, but let's not get me started on mascots in the NHL. That is a whole tangent I will go on in a later episode. But it just don't make sense, a lot of them. So, but again, not going to get into it right now. So yeah, the name does not make sense. I hate the name so much, and them not having a mascot, again, gonna bug me again. What team doesn't have a mascot? Whatever, it's temporary. I'm gonna have to keep telling myself that. I wasn't even a fan of the Arizona Coyotes, anyways, so I don't know why it gets me so riled up, but it gets me riled up. But yeah. Now we're finally at the very end of the first episode of the Devil's Hockey Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. next episode is going to be Hockey 101, again, where I'm going over all the rules and trying to dumb down hockey for anyone to understand. Um, this episode is a really long episode, and the next episode will probably be a long episode as well because of everything I'm going to have to explain. And I shouldn't need a script like I did with this one, but with that one, with the next episode, I probably will have a little bit of a script, but not as much as this one. But anyways, I'm also wanting to end every episode with a joke. I'm gonna try to always keep it hockey related, but it might not be hockey related sometimes. And it might be punny, it might be corny, it might be stupid, it might be just kind of plain dumb, but it'll be a joke at the end of every episode. So the very first joke of the week, well, joke of the episode, is, what do magicians and hockey players have in common? This one kind of makes me giggle a little bit, and I know it's not a very good joke, but it makes me giggle. Is they both do hat tricks. Because, magicians do hat tricks, and hockey players can do hat tricks. For people who don't know what a hat trick is in hockey, it's when just one player scores 3 goals in one game, and it's called a hat trick, and it gets everyone pumped, and they all throw their hats on the ring. It's it's a big thing, and it's a really cool thing to do. Our hat tricks. Um, yeah. So I thought it was a bit punny, a bit funny, just because I find the stupidest jokes hilarious. Um, so yeah. That is it. I will see you next episode. I hope you enjoy and have a great rest of your week. Thank you. Goodbye.